Hi everyone, Ms. Marsh here. Today we're going to be talking about estimating sums, which is very similar to the lesson that Ms. Teves did on estimating differences. However, instead of subtracting today, we will be adding because we are looking for the sum. So, we're going to start with estimating sums in the tens place. So our directions tell us to round each number to the nearest 10, then add to estimate the sum. So just like we did in Ms. Teves' lesson, we're first going to draw our arrows to tell us that we are rounding and estimating. So then we're going to circle our tens and underline our ones in both numbers. So in 53, I'm looking at the 3 in the ones place, and that's going to tell me that I'm rounding down to 50. And in 28, I'm looking at the 8, which is telling me that this 2 is going to round up to 30. Then I'm just going to add those two together. So 0 plus 0 is 0, and 5 plus 3 is 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 80. Alright? We're going to do the same thing for number 2. I'm going to start by drawing my arrows to remind me that I am rounding or estimating. Same thing. I'm going to circle and underline. I'm going to circle my tens, underline my ones. So again, looking at 68, the 8 in the ones place is telling me that my 6 is going to round up to become a 70. Looking at 34, my 4 in the ones place tells me this 3 is going to round to a 30. This 34 is rounding to 30, okay? And we're going to add those two numbers together. So those are pretty friendly numbers. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 7, and we can count up 8, 9, 10 to give us 100. Alright, remember, with 147 down here on number 3, we're rounding to the nearest 10. So I'm still going to circle this 4 that's in my tens. I'm going to underline my ones. I'm going to circle the 8 in the tens and underline the 8 in the ones. And then, because I forgot when I started, I'm going to draw my arrows. I almost forgot. Alright, so looking at 147, I'm still rounding to the tens place. So this 7 tells me this 4 is going to round up. So I'm rounding this number to 150. And then 88, this 8 tells me I need to round up. So that becomes 90. Alright? So 0 plus 0 is 0. Now we're going to have to do some regrouping here. So 5 plus 9, you can count up. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright? Remember, we're regrouping. So 1 plus 1 is 2 to give us 240. Alright, now, so that's how to do it when it's using regular algorithm, alright? Let's talk about when it wants us to estimate and round in a word problem. So our word problem right here says Mike had 36 pencils. Tara had 154 pencils. About how many pencils did Mike and Tara have altogether? So I know I'm rounding because it's asking me how many they have altogether, right? So one way to know that they're asking me to round or to estimate is this word right here, about. That's telling me I want to estimate how many they had. So because it gives me 36 and 154, I'm going to stack those using regular algorithm. But remember, it's asking me about how many they had altogether. So I'm going to draw my arrows. And we're still rounding to the tens place, okay? So I'm going to circle my tens and underline my ones. Circle my tens and underline my ones. So looking at 154. Well, this 4 tells me that I don't don't need to add anything else. So this is going to become 150. I'm going to round that to 150. I'm looking at 36. Our 6 tells me I need to add one more and I'll be fine. So this 36 is going to round up to 40. Okay? Then I'm going to add those two numbers together. We have pretty friendly numbers here. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So they would have about 190 pencils all together. Alright, so that's rounding to our tens place. Now let's look about rounding to our hundreds place. So again, same thing. We're estimating sums, so we're adding, okay? So our directions tell us round each number to the nearest hundred, then add to estimate the sum. So this time, I'm going to still draw my arrows, because that's telling me that I need to round, okay? I'm going to circle my hundreds, and I'm going to look at my tens to know what to round to. And remember, the ones, when we're rounding to the hundreds, just become zeros. So 462, well this 6 in the tens place is telling me I need to add one more. So 462 is going to round to 500. Looking at 327, the 2 in the tens place tells me I don't need to add anything. So that's going to round down to 300. And I'm just going to add those two numbers together. Again, pretty friendly numbers, 0, 0, 5, 6, 7, 8 to give us 800. Alright, let's look at number 2. So same thing, I'm going to start with drawing my arrows. And again, remember, we're rounding to the hundreds place this time. I'm circling my hundreds, underlining my tens, circling my hundreds, and underlining my tens. So 593. Well, looking at my tens, this 9 tells me I need to add one more and I'll be just fine. So 593 is going to round up to 600. And 359, well, looking at this 5, remember 5 tells me I need to add one more. So 359 is going to round up to 400. I'm going to add those two numbers together, so we get 0 and 0, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that gives us 1,000. So, if you would like to pause and try number 3 on a separate sheet of paper, you can, and then check back in with me, or you can continue watching. So we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to draw our arrows first to let us know that we are rounding, and we're still rounding to the hundreds. So I'm going to circle my hundreds, underline my tens, circle my hundreds, and underline my tens. So 847. Well, looking at this 4 in the tens place, that tells me I don't need to add anything. So this is going to round down to 800. And then 681, looking at this 8 in the tens place, it tells me I need to add one more. So 681 is going to round up to 700. And then I'm going to add those two numbers together. So we get 0 plus 0 is 0, 0, and then we have 8 plus 7. So I can count up 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I get 1,500. Alright, let's look at our word problem. Again, remember, we're estimating sums. So let's look at this. So our word problem says, Sam picked 489 blueberries. Tim picked 934 blueberries. About how many blueberries did Sam and Tim pick in all? So, with this word problem, I know that I'm adding because it wants to know how many they had in all. And I know I'm rounding because this word right here, about, just like when we rounded to the tens place, that word about tells me I'm going to be rounding. I like to circle it so I remember what I'm doing. So again, just like these numbers 1 through 3, I'm going to take my two numbers and number 4 and use regular algorithm RON to stack them on top of each other. And then I'm going to draw my arrows. Now, I want to put the bigger number on top, so I need to rewrite this so it would really be 934, 489, because I like to have my big number on top. So I'm drawing my arrows because I want to remember that I am rounding. So again, we're rounding to the hundreds place. So I'm going to circle my hundreds, underline my tens. Circle my hundreds, underline my tens. Alright, so 934. Well, looking at this 3 in the tens place, it's telling me that I don't need to add anything. So 934 is going to round down to 900. Looking at 489, this 8 is telling me that I need to add one more. So that 489 is going to round up to 500. And then we're just going to add those two numbers together. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0, and then 9 plus 5 we could count up, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So Sam and Tim have about 1,400 pencils all together. Alright, so make sure you go and do the practice work that is assigned with this. If you're struggling, come back and watch this video, and have a great rest of your day.